Look at it. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Community Development, Housing and General Government meeting. Today, as you know, we have a consent agenda as well as a general agenda. And on our consent agenda, we have 11 items. In our general, we have 8. And as you know, the first thing that we do is we have a vote as to the consent or any items to be pulled. I'm going to recognize, are there any items to be pulled? Councilmember Scipio is asked for C2 through C9. Are there any other?
Somebody wants to speak on C10.
Okay.
And I'm
So we're going to vote on the balance of C1 and C11.
Move for
approval.
second.
I have a motion to approve consent items C1 and C11. May we have a vote? Are we doing a voice vote even on these? All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like. And the motion passes. City Clerk, would you please call, we're going to do all of the C2 through C9 in one presentation, okay?
I'll just call C2. Item C2, 261 Harrington Circle, Eastward Ordinance ordering the demolition and removal of a structure.
Tiffany Harris? Hi.
Hi, my name is Tiffany Harris from Neighborhood Services Department. Can you hear me?
Better.
Yep. My name is Tiffany Harris from Neighborhood Services Department.
Councilmember Scipio, do you have any questions, or do you want a presentation on, small on each one, or what?
Ms. Harris has a presentation
Okay.
to present all of these as one unit. This is the Lakeside Apartments that are on New Walkertown Road.
Notifications of the property violations were sent to the owner as required by ordinance for all apartments. Okay. The apartments include the following: 261, 263, 265, and 267 Harrington Circle, which are burnt structures. The next group is 111 and 113 Lakeview Boulevard. And the last is 211 and 213 Lakeview Boulevard. A list pendants was filed for all violations and submitted to the county clerk's office. Additionally, the owners of the property agreed to bring the property into compliance with the city's minimum housing code pursuant to a forbearance agreement which the owners did not comply with. And that's it.
Is that for all of them? That's not.
That's all for this group, the 8 cases.
That's all 8 cases?
Yes.
Okay. Right now, we have met with the owner, and we'd like for him to come and tell us his plans for these properties.
Would you please come forward, state your name and address, please, sir?
So, good evening, everyone. So I'm Srini here, the owner of the property. I just met some of the
Could you move the mic up closer?
Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So I just met some of the council members and so explained. So there were a lot of improvements done on this property. So initially, when we bought the property, about like 122 units that were not code violations. We brought it down to like around like 60 to 70 right now. We are still working on it. So all these units, I mean, these are the pictures that you see, the old pictures like about 2 years or 3 years back, but we have new roofs. We're working on all the interiors and doing all the electrical plumbing upgrades. And we are making it more affordable, like very affordable, on the renting side. So we have still like around like 60 units left out, but coming to these 8 units, so the 211 and 213, we are working on that. It takes another like a month or 2 to complete these buildings. So it has new roofs, we have new electrical, new plumbing, all the interiors are upgraded, all the cabinets, the flooring, everything is upgraded. So we're just waiting on like the electricians and plumbers to come and work on this. It takes about like 2 months to finish up these buildings. And also the prior ones like 111 and 113, so those buildings are also being worked on right now. So they're not terrible units. I mean, like, because previously, the previous management, right, they don't have the roofs. Everything has been like water running down, so it messed up. So we had the new roofs. We went and spent a lot of money on it. So it takes us another 2 months to finish up these units. Coming to the burn unit, unfortunately, there was a fire happened, and there was one unit got impacted, and it got into the other units. I'm working with the general contractor right now to tear down to the foundation and rebuild the whole thing, basically. We got the insurance funds for this property. And the general contractor is working with the city to see what permits they need to pull, like any drawings, any zoning applications, anything need to be submitted, and rebuild the whole thing. We're not doing anything additional thing. We're just rebuilding the structure, basically. So that's a key location. I don't want to tear down and keep it like open space. It's a hazardous thing, so we recommend to approve us to rebuild it, give us like 3 months' time, and we should make progress on this.
Councilmember Scipio.
Yes. One of the things that's important is that when people pay their rent, they should live in good housing, no matter who owns it. One of the tools the city has is that we do have a community development department. We do code violations, and we can cite owners when they don't keep the properties up to the right level of standards that are decent for people. Lakeside is a very old complex with a lot of apartments, about close to 400 units.
340.
340. So we really want to keep that good affordable housing, but it needs to be quality. There were over 100 plus violations that we had on this complex. And we have alerted the owner, and so now with the demolition pending, we're seeing some action. So council committee members, I'd like to move that we continue this case until April, which will give them 3 months almost to complete the repairs on these units. And we're going to investigate where the other units that are on our list have indeed been brought up to code. So I'd like to move that we continue this until April in committee,
And it looks like that will be April 8th.
April 8th.
Okay.
I'll second.
We have a motion to continue, and it's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? Councilmember McIntosh.
Just a quick question. What are the, do you know what the square footage of these units are roughly?
So they're about 650 to 750 square
Okay.
feet.
And what are you budgeting for your renovation costs on, say,
The
that?
cost for renovations for each unit is going to around like 12 to 13,000 for each unit. About it depends on the interiors and the structure. Any electrical, we are upgrading electrical to 200 amps, and we're providing all the new plumbing basically. And inside we're updating all the new cabinets, new flooring, new paint. All the windows are double pane. All the new roofs are in place. So approximately it comes to around like 15,000, 12 to 15,000, somewhere around.
I'm sorry, how much?
12,000 to 15,000 for each unit.
I need to find your contractor. Those seem like really good prices.
So most of these things were done internally. Like we have around like 10 maintenance team working on it. Some of them like do all the flooring, but electrical and plumbing is a external contractor. So we do like a partnership, like some in-house, some outside contractors.
Okay, sounds low, but.
Councilmember Mundy.
You mentioned, or Councilmember Scipio mentioned, over 100 violations. Was that 100 units with violations, or 100 violations spread over a smaller number of units?
So
We know?
So this is 100, when we bought the property, right? Like when I bought the property, it was 100 violations, 100 units with violations, basically.
Thank you. That's all I wanted to check on.
Yeah, but we brought it down to like around 60 right now because we already closed a lot of these things, but it was not updated in the records. So I'm going to work with the council. Yeah, thank you.
And sir, how long have you been the owner of Lakeside?
It's about like 3 years right now, two and a half years, somewhere around, yeah.
Well, I'm going to agree with the council member, and I'm sure every council member up here. I've been on this committee for almost 15 years, and I know that we catch a little bit of angst from citizens when we demo properties. But some of these properties, as Ms. Tony and others in community development housing would tell you, have been on our list longer than some of us have been on this council.
Yeah.
As Councilmember said, Lakeside was a beautiful housing development when we were all growing up, high school, college, all of it. And then the owners kind of shifted. And even when I am over there and I drive through, because I know I used to go over there to visit my friends in high school and whatever, and it didn't look like that. They had the prettiest hardwood floors you ever wanted to see. The landscaping of the properties was pristine, grass, roses, flowers, trees. The streets were clean. There was no junk and furniture and trash all over the community, and the buildings didn't look like that. They have good bones. We know that. Anything built way back has good bones. But I am hoping, along with the council member, to see some improvements in that property, because the people, as she said, that pay rent, they deserve better than that. And the only reason a lot of poor people don't move from bad housing, they have nowhere else to go. They can't afford it. So I'm going to be one of those people, a cheerleader with Councilmember Scipio, that I'll be looking forward to seeing your improvements in April when I drive through. Okay?
Thank you so much. Yeah, really appreciate it.
You're so welcome.
Yeah.
Would we, Councilmember Scipio?
I do have one other comment. In speaking with some of the residents, they felt that they couldn't tell the city the condition of their apartments because they were being intimidated.
Mm-hmm.
That is illegal. And I want all landlords to know that is illegal. Do not intimidate residents who are paying you to live on your properties. Because if I hear about it, it's not going to be nice, because we should not treat each other that way. Profit is one thing, but decency is something we must stand by in the face of what people have to live with. So I do not want to hear of any more intimidation by anybody at Lakeside who's afraid to call the city and say that things are out of order and they're having to suffer with bad electricity, no water, the heat's not working. But I'm especially looking at Lakeside because it's right near where I live. But more importantly, it's for any landlord in the East Ward, because that's unacceptable. It's just unacceptable.
I agree. I mean, like, the code violations cases were come down a lot. I mean, like, when I took over, like, it's almost like every week we get like 3 or 4 code violations. Now we may get like one in like 3 months, something like that. And I understand we go and fix it very quickly. Mm-hmm. And you should be able to see the statistics. I mean, like, we are trying our best. I mean, I'm trying my best. We spend almost like $2.5 million on this property right now, and another $1 million or something goes into it. Yeah.
We're looking forward to it.
Councilmember Burke.
Thank you. I want to echo the sentiments that have already been expressed by MPT and Councilmember Scipio. This property is an eyesore as you travel up and down 311. And you've already addressed clearly the structures that need to be repaired inside and outside, the work that needs to be done. But speaking about the aesthetics as you drive by, you need to work work on that as well. It does not look good. It detracts from our community instead of add to it. When we come back to vote on this in April 8th, I know this is your ward, Councilmember Scipio, but I would love to know what the crime statistics are for that location as well. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you.
I'm sure, one more caveat, I'm sure that a lot of the landlords, if they don't know, they might want to go on our website and look at our regulations and ordinance on discrimination for the city of Winston-Salem. We have some of the tightest ordinances on that. Our attorney and her office and team have done a great job of updating them and making them better in light of the world that we live in now. But particularly, again, when it comes to housing, Ms. Tony, you know that during my tenure on this committee, I have demoed a lot of buildings, probably more than most. And I am not beyond doing it when it's needed, because the citizens demand better and the community demands better, as well as our city. We have a motion on the floor. It's been moved and seconded. May we have the vote? Please vote. I voted already. See. Thank you very much, and the motion passes.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. Look forward to seeing you in a couple of months.
Thank you so much, and we'll make it happen.
All right.
Thank you. Yeah.
Next item, please, C10.
Item C10, 5020 Rushland Drive, West Ward, ordinance ordering the demolition and removal of a structure.
5020 Rushland Drive. The owner is Michelle D. Carley. Notifications of the property violations were sent to the owner as required by ordinance. Minimum housing violations is 3. List pendants and all violations have been submitted to the county clerk's office and were filed May 18th of 2022. The hearing was held on March 4th, 2022. An order to repair, alter, or improve expired on June 3rd, 2022. The property became eligible for committee consideration on December 3rd of 2022. Estimated cost to repair the structure is $3,108. Fair market value of the structure is $100,000.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. Councilmember Clark.
Is Ms. Carly here? She's, please come up.
Would you state your name and address, please?
Sorry. Michelle Carley, 5020 Rushland Drive.
Thank you.
Any comments you have on it?
I don't understand what this is all about. Every letter that I have gotten from the city, I have taken care of, so I don't know what this is all about.
Can you see the pictures we're looking at?
Yes, sir.
Does it still look like this?
No, sir. Those were taken care of, and I called the city, and they said, okay. Everything was fine. It does not look like that.
And when was it taken care of, Ms. Russian?
I've been taking care of every letter, and I even got pictures on my phone what it looks like right now.
Yeah.
Let me do this. We'll continue this for a month and then give the staff time to get new pictures and check it out.
Okay.
And they'll get back with you.
Okay. Right.
Thank you.
If we
Thank you.
Continue this for 1 month internally and have staff check it out.
City Attorney.
I think we have committee of the whole meetings in March, which is why the other item was continued to April 8th. Do you want to continue this to April 8th?
April 8th, it'll be 2 months, and in the meantime, if staff can clear these, they'll get back with
You
you.
want to go ahead and make an official motion, get a second, and vote?
May I have a second, please?
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye or vote. Are we voting electronically? Okay. All those opposed, like sign.
Thank you very much. and
Thank
staff
you.
will Check it out. Thank you.
Excuse me? Thank you. City Clerk, general agenda items, please.
Item G1, update on the Arts Council of Winston-Salem and Passaic County. There is no place like home project funded by city opera-enabled funds.
Good
Ms. Olive,
afternoon, Mayor
how you
Pro Tem
doing?
Adams. Well, how are you?
All right.
Good afternoon, members of the committee and council. My name is Tiffany Oliva. I'm Director of Intergovernmental Affairs and Strategic Initiatives. This item is for Chase Law, CEO and Director, to provide an update on the One Nation, One Project that we funded through ARPA-enabled funds. As you all are aware, we are sad to be losing Chase Law, but are obviously excited for her on her new endeavor. So she's going to provide us an update on that transition and what we can expect.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good to see you all this afternoon.
And could we have your name and address, please?
Yes, Chase Law. I'm with the Arts Council of Winston-Salem, Forsyth County, 251 North Spruce Street. Yes, I'm giving a quick update on ARPA and a little update on Arts Council as well, just as I am exiting. I know you have heard about my departure. This is my last week, and it's a very emotional week. So I want to thank you first and foremost for the incredible support you have given me as the leader of the Arts Council and the Arts Council in general, and the work that we're doing throughout the community. So wanted to talk a lot about where we are on One Nation, One Project. We have actually shifted nationally from There's No Place Like Home to Arts for Everybody. It's an incredible project. Just as a reminder, this is a national initiative around arts and wellness designed to activate the power of the arts to repair the social fabric of our nation and heal our communities, as launched by the National League of Cities and One Nation, One Project. As you'll recall, Winston-Salem is one of 18 cities that was selected across the country to be part of this initiative. And we have a local site team here that is based upon partnership between the Arts Council, the Thomas S. Keenan Institute for the Arts at UNCSA, United Health Centers, the City of Winston-Salem's Choice Neighborhood Program and Community Development, and the Forsyth County Department of Behavioral Services. This funding will be directed to communities that have the greatest need and will be part of a larger initiative to redevelop and reinvigorate parts of our city. This project will build cross-sector relationships across arts and culture, local government and health, uplift diverse stories of home, community resilience and belonging, drive equitable and holistic health outcomes among individuals and communities, and inspire ambitious artistic experiences that leverage the power of the arts for the well-being of all people. Our goal is to leverage existing strengths of the healthcare community, artists, and other innovators to enhance the creative community, promote the recovery and growth of the city, improve health outcomes for residents in underserved areas, and build social cohesion in communities. We have a local kickoff event that will be happening on June 27th, so be on the lookout for that to come. We're still in the planning phase currently, but we'll have invitations coming out. We'd love to see everyone there. But good work has already started throughout the community. We've hired 2 incredible program managers to support and lead the work of the project. Community inclusion and conversations are taking place as we speak. This is not only helping to build activities around the kickoff event, but also helping to identify needs in our community, building up to other activities that will lead up to the kickoff and incorporate local work currently being done in the arts and wellness space. We are rolling out community projects and activities beginning in March. We've just finalized a contract with an artist, Ernell Martinez, to begin painting the water tower on Liberty Street. And Ernell's going to be conducting a lot of community conversation, so neighborhood residents can be a part of the project, so they can talk about what's going on in their communities and what they see as building a healthy community. The community has to play a role in this. Additional partners and artists and other projects will be named over time that'll lead up to the kickoff and follow the kickoff. So this is going to be an ongoing project. And the funds that you guys provided for this allow us to build up to that kickoff and have another 2 years to help support the continuation and growth. We're focused on 3 specific neighborhoods and communities: Happy Hill, Cleveland Avenue, and Boston Thurman. This is just such an exciting project, an exciting time for Winston-Salem. But the thing I want to really go into in support of this is Arts Council is focused on community. Over the last 3 years, I'm so proud of the accomplishments that we've made, but we've developed a strategic visioning roadmap, and community is at the core. This is why we were interested in the One Nation, One Project, Arts for Everybody initiative, why we use this opportunity to apply for ARPA and transformational funds to make change in our community. It is really important that we build relationships and trust with every member of this community. Every single member. The arts can be used for a tool for change, to bridge gaps, and bring community together. And the community is co-constructing this with us. Yes, this is a focus for Arts for Everybody, but this is the work we're doing every single day. We're asking our community to be involved in our grant-making efforts, our program development, and so much more. And we're not guessing what they want, we're asking what they want. It's really key as we move ahead to the future. Totally separate from ARPA, we're in the process of finishing our special appropriations grant for the city. And while we're talking about community development, I ask you to consider including us again in that annual funding. It's separate from ARPA, they don't cross paths, but they all work together, right, to make the community change and lead to the future. We're working with new organizations through this project, through the transformational ARPA, working with new organizations, working with community members that we have never, ever worked with in the past.
I know.
And it's amazing. It's amazing. And it's a new day. It's a new day for the Arts Council, a new day for Winston-Salem. So I'm approaching my final days, and I just want to say profound thanks to you all. You've made the time here, my time here successful and successful for our residents. Trying not to get emotional here. I am filled with emotion, but I am feeling like I'm leaving the organization on really great footing. The staff is wonderful that's in place. Our board is strong. We have named a new interim leader, Howard Upchurch. We are in the process of doing our search for the next leader. I feel like I'm leaving the organization in really strong hands that can continue to carry on the momentum that we've set. And pave the way for the future. We're entering our 75th year, and I know this organization is going to carry on, and the ship will go full steam ahead. So I want to thank you for your steadfast support. We will continue to provide updates on this incredible project, Arts for Everybody, but I cannot say thank you enough for everything, and this community is better off for all of us here in this room. Thank you for your work, and thank you for allowing me to be a small part of it. Any questions?
Thank you, Chase. I met you when you came to town. We've had many conversations together. And as you know, I told you my piece about the history. I've served on the Arts Council board, that we got to do better. We have to do better, and we have to be intentional about it. Again, congratulations in your next life of experiences, and I wish you and your family nothing but the best. Councilmember McIntosh, Councilmember Monday.
Thank you.
As Mayor Pro Tem said, we talked shortly after you arrived, and I remember having the conversation about how success for your organization was going to be tied to how much of the community you touched and how much you involved. I was really happy at that time to hear your enthusiasm about that and your understanding of the necessity of that. And it looks like those, that momentum is here and is going on. I'm just sorry you're not going to be around to help us see that through. But thank you very much for your efforts, because I know that was one of your priorities, or major priority, and I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Councilmember Monday.
I just want to echo, excuse me, what these folks have said. I remember the first day we met. I think I was council member-elect. I don't think I'd even taken office yet. And after we were spending 5 minutes together, I thought, they got it right this time.
Yeah.
And they really did. I know all of your predecessors dating back to '87, and you were the best breath of fresh air that we had, and we're going to miss you a lot.
Thank you.
Councilmember Scipio.
Goodbye, Chase. It's been such a pleasure to have you in our city. I know Winston-Salem has such an effect on people. They take our city with them everywhere they go. So I know you're just going to another stop, but this will be the stop that you will always remember.
Yes.
It's been a joy and a delight to be with you, to work with you, to share ideas with you. And I just congratulate you for going somewhere else, even though I don't like it.
Thank you. Thank you, Chase. Thank you so much. And that was for information. Wait a minute, Councilmember Larson.
Just one final remark, and that is, Chase, we've talked a lot over time, but I've always thought you were the arts and innovation. So thank you for making the city what our slogan is, bringing the arts back up to the forefront of our lifetime. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You'll be a part of my heart forever.
Thank you.
Thank you.
City Clerk, next item, please.
Item G2, ordinance approving an amendment to subsection 62-2 of Chapter 62 of the City Code clarifying the intent, expectation, and code enforcement of the natural yards.
Dr. Miller.
Good afternoon. I'm Dr. Shailene Miller, Director of Sustainability. Good afternoon, Mayor Pro Tem, Committee, members of Council. So I'm here requesting an update to a portion of the ordinance that allows for more natural yards. And this ordinance was adopted in 2014, and it sets forth guidelines for non-turf grass lawns. And this update is for two concerns with the ordinance. And the first regards the 20-foot setback, which made many residents unable to participate because 20 feet is at their front door. And the second issue has been that it's been very hard for code enforcement to understand and identify what a natural landscape looks like. And so therefore, many residents have had their investments mowed down. Going through this, we worked with planning and neighborhood services, and we benchmarked several cities. And so we're proposing to make a change in the setback requirement and adding a registration and sign requirement for the residents' protection. So under the proposed language, the setback would reduce from 20 feet to 5, allowing the homes pictured here to also participate. And then to address the issue with code enforcement, we're creating a free registration process that would go through the sustainability department. So in this registration, we would collect the addresses that would feed into a GIS layer that therefore code enforcement could look up by address and know who's participating in this. And to register, the resident will provide a plan on how they will remove the grass, provide a plant list, and how they plan to maintain the area. This is to provide intentionality, and we believe that anyone trying to do a natural landscape should be able to provide these details. In addition, in order to inform neighbors and passerbys and those who may call it code enforcement, there's also a sign requirement, hopefully to help educate and reduce the number of calls to code enforcement, which I'll show in a moment. And because we'll have the plans on hand, if a yard would need to be evaluated, we would be able to compare it to the approved plans. Failure to keep it in the approved state, no more than 25% of noxious vegetation would result in a removal of the registration and it would be subject to mowing again. The resident could reapply after 6 months. To work on the approved signs, we selected the most well-known organizations that promote natural landscapes and that have ready-made signage. Most of these are active in the Piedmont, and some people participating are expected to already have these signs. That is all.
Thank you. Any questions? Councilmember Monday, and then I want to ask Assistant Manager King a question. Go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Miller. I know that we discussed this a lot, and one of those residents whose yard was mowed down was in the Southwest Ward, which was the genesis of our working on this. We tried to get this done quite a while ago, and until you came into office, we didn't get much action or much traction. So thank you for taking these projects, and this is one of many, and I know you're running with them, and it is so good to see so good things coming out of sustainability. So I thank you for that.
Thank you.
That's all.
Councilmember Clark, then Councilmember McIntosh, then ACM King.
I see, can you hear me?
Yes.
That's what I like to work. I see a very thin line between a natural yard and a mess. And I trust I won't be calling you in a few months about people that just aren't mowing their yards. So I will support it today, but I'm going on faith that we will not end up with a bunch of messy yards, because I have had some of those. Thank you.
Councilmember McIntosh.
Following on that, that's been a lot of the conversation that we've had is about where's the line between, unmowed grass and intentionality. And I think this strikes a good balance. Obviously, we as a council try to stay in touch with ordinances that we've started, and we have to change or change them. We're willing to do that. So, I mean, I do think this is. I think this is going to be effective, and it also is not going to place a huge burden on staff, which is almost as important as anything. Is not making it difficult for constituents and staff to figure out when it's right, when it's wrong. Question about the signage. If a constituent can have any one of these signs, is their choice of what's put up, not something singular? Okay. I would think that maybe something that says Winston-Salem on it would sort of lend a stamp of approval, that somebody would know that this is not just a sign somebody put in their front yard. It would be something that the city has sanctioned, more or less. So,
Good point. Councilmember Scipio.
I love this idea. Natural yards don't necessarily have to look messy, but it is about protecting our environment and saving our environment and making neighborhoods healthier and the community healthier. What I like about this is the signs provide education for people. Many people don't understand why we should go back to a more natural form of landscaping or native plants that are native to this region, so you don't have invasive infestations by plants that people bring in that look ornamental and beautiful. So I really love this idea because we're going to be lifting up the community in the knowledge of beyond air pollution, beyond electric vehicles, there are natural things that we can do to maintain our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Monday.
One more comment, and to address part of your concern, Councilmember Clark, I think you're going to get calls because there are some people who don't like the look of a natural area. And it's very difficult when you have a 70-year-old living next to a 30-year-old because they want very different things. So we have to compromise on a lot of things in Winston-Salem going forward that are geared towards the 70-year-old. None are geared towards the 30-year-old because that 30-year-old is who we need to bring in to feed the economic pipeline. So it's a great compromise. And I just encourage other departments to look at where we need to make these changes to be a better fit for both age groups.
Assistant Manager King, can you give me some input as to what are you guys thinking, your team, about it? Just input. I know this is community development too, with housing, neighborhood, whatever, but what does zoning think about this?
So I think the changes, as Shailene mentioned, offer more flexibility to it. Reducing that setback to allow more folks to participate removes a barrier to that program. I can just tell you, in the neighborhood I live in Ardmore, we've got a lot of homes that are set close to the street, and a lot of residences that would likely participate in this, that the 20-foot setback will be a barrier to. So I think from that standpoint, from the city trying to open this up to more folks who want to participate, that setback reduction helps a lot there. I think the signage is important to let residents know that. Perhaps the suggestion of a city logo somehow on the sign might help to let folks know this is an official program. Perhaps a logo with a QR code might be nice to kind of go along with some more information if there's a way to do that. As Councilmember Clark hit the nail on the head, I think the devil's in the details when it comes to enforcement on some of this, but that's something that it's already in there. We just got to continue working through and refining that. I think the GIS layer helps a lot with that.
Thank you. ACM Tony, since this is part of your department, do you have any comments?
Yes, well, good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and council members. Yes, we talked to Shailene about this. I think there was initial concern about the enforcement. So it'll be our code enforcement officers regulating this. But I think we'll be fine. They'll just need additional training to be clear about what falls under this ordinance and what's just overgrown grass. And the signage will help tremendously. I think we want to make sure that the signs are also maybe on an annual basis to make sure the sign is appropriate for these areas as well, because once you get the sign, I think you have it. So just working out those details, but training will be very important for our code enforcers.
I would probably like to see, Dr. Miller, an update after the spring and all of the rain that we're getting, and we're going to probably hopefully continue to get, and into the summer for maybe some initial yards that didn't have it or weren't using it, so we can see if you could get some pictures if the owners don't mind, so we can see what it looks like. And Ms. Tony, what kinds of violations or calls you're getting that people are not happy, or the concerns, because they're going to call you, then they're going to call us. So that we're all tied and looped in together, okay? May I have a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
It's been moved and probably seconded by Councilmember Mundy, Councilmember Scipio. May we have the vote, please? All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye. All those oppose, like sign. Hold up. Come on. Okay.
Thank you.
And the motion passes. Thank you so much, Dr. Miller. Next item, please.
Item G3, information on conveyance of 9 city-owned vacant lots in the Ridgewood Place subdivision to True Homes for the purpose of increasing the supply of affordable housing for low and moderate income persons.
Ms. Gilman.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, other members of the committee, and other members of council. I'm Tanya Skillman, Assistant Housing Development Director. On November 14th of 2022, City Council approved acceptance of the offer from True Homes to purchase 31 city-owned lots in the Ridgewood Place subdivision located near Hines Drive and I-40. The offer was revised during the due diligence period, and 22 of the 31 city-owned lots were conveyed for the development of single-family homes for home ownership. The 22 lots are currently under construction and are slated for completion in 2024. Now True Homes proposes to purchase 4 of the remaining 9 lots previously approved, an additional 5 city-owned lots for a total of 9 in the Ridgewood Place subdivision for $9 or $1 per lot for affordable home ownership. The sales price for the homes will range from $205 to $245. True Homes will be required to adhere to the city's Affordable Housing the Housing Justice Act, Affordable Housing Ordinance, and the deed declaration of restrictions with respect to the development of the property for 15 years. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Councilmember Clark.
I did go to the open house they had at one of the ones they were building, and it looked very nice. It wasn't quite finished, but this is an established neighborhood. Most of the lots in there have been built on for some time, so this is a good infill project.
May I have Councilmember McIntosh?
It's my understanding that these lots, because of topo issues, were excluded from the original purchase agreement because the cost to develop them would be much higher, and paying even tax value for them wouldn't allow the developer to do the deal. So just as a clarification point, I think it's important for people to know we didn't change horses in the middle of the stream for no reason. There was a good reason behind that.
Thank you for that clarification. You're right. I think it was also averse to affordability as well. So,
Councilmember Scipio.
Just for my clarification, this is just for the lots that we're considering, and they are not requesting any other subsidies for the construction of the homes.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Monday.
And I think we know this, but could you remind us what this commits the developers to as far as number of years to make it affordable?
15 years.
Thank you.
Sorry about that. And if there are any more questions or comments, could we have a motion, please?
It's information.
This is for
This is
information?
information?
Yes, yes.
I'm already at 4. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Gilman. Next item, please, from City Clerk.
Item G4, consideration of items related to funding to Liberty East redevelopment for development of 5 lots for affordable home ownership, Northeast Ward.
Ms. Gilman.
Liberty East seeks an allocation of $150,000 of state ARPA funds to assist with construction costs for 5 single-family homes that it intends to build in the Northeast Ward. Council has previously approved to sell the 4 lots on which 5 of the homes will be built to Liberty East for this development project. Each of the homes will be 3 bedrooms, 2 bath with 1 or 2 car garages. The developer will select from 3 different designs for development of the lots with prices ranging from $231 to $268. Subject to an appraisal, the homes are estimated to range from $201 to $238 with the subsidy. The funds awarded to these projects would be in the form of a forgivable loan to the developer. Upon sale of the lots, the home buyers will sign a secured 15-year home buyers assistance loan equal to the difference between the appraised value less the subsidized sales amount. The lots will be subject to the 15-year compliance period pursuant to the Affordable Housing Ordinance as well as the Housing Justice Act. Thank you.
Councilmember Clark.
This is just a question, comment. This would apply to the previous item, too. These houses are being sold. So once, in the previous ordinance, they're being sold as well. Once they're sold, the requirement, the affordable housing requirement becomes a
moot point?
Not a moot point. It's up to the owner then to do their homework.
So yes, because it's tied to the deed, though, it runs with the land. So when anyone does a title search, our restrictive covenant will show up on the deed.
I understand, but the builders are long since gone.
Right.
It's not True Homes or whatever that's going to enforce this for 15 years.
No.
It's as they're bought and sold, and I understand they're part of it's going to be recorded with the deed, but it's going to be up to the owner at the time they sell to get with us and calculate what the maximum price they could sell it for.
That's correct.
Yeah.
City Attorney, do you want to weigh in?
I was just going to confirm what she just said. That's correct.
Okay. Any other comments? Councilmember Monday.
I know that these numbers fit what we require for affordable housing, but I just want to acknowledge that a lot of people out there are saying that's a lot. That's not affordable for most people. We still need to figure out how to get housing at a lower price. I know that's nearly impossible with the cost of goods these days, but there are a lot of people who want to own a house, and that's just a little bit out of their reach. So we got a little more work to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Scipio.
Just for clarification, we're going to provide $150,000 lump sum, not $150 per house.
That's correct. $150 total.
Okay.
I think, hopefully, the economy is trying to shift a little bit. Hopefully, it will help the housing market and for municipalities and others that are trying to do this work. It'll probably be another 3 or 4 months before the feds and everybody decide maybe we need to just go ahead and lower it so that developers and builders and others can get in this housing market game to provide housing to America. This is a general item. May I have a motion, please?
Move approval.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded by Councilmember Clark and Monday. All those in favor, let it be known by voting. And the motion passes. Thank you so much. Next item, please, City Clerk.
Item G5, resolution authorizing the purchase of property located at 635 and 639 Burton Street in support of the city's efforts around permanent, supportive, and affordable housing, North Ward.
Next, we have Ms. McClain.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, members of the committee, and members of the other members of the council. My name is Chantel McClam. I'm the Neighborhood Services Director. The item before you is a resolution authorizing the purchase of the property located at 635 and 639 Burton Street. The property is developed with existing 2 multifamily apartment buildings with a total of 10 residential units. The property appraised for $766,000. We're asking that we're allowed to purchase it for $773,500 in an effort to increase our permanent supportive housing stock.
Thank you. Any comments or questions? Councilmember Clark.
What are we going to do with them after we buy them?
We are looking to, there's the permanent supportive housing stock, we're looking to use it to get one of our agencies to provide supportive services at this location. So Bethesda Center has offered to provide those supportive services. Either we can sell it to Bethesda Center, or we can keep it and under city ownership, and they will still provide those supportive services.
Any other questions, comments? Councilmember McIntosh.
So are we tying this purchase to an agreement with Bethesda?
No, we're not tying it to an agreement. We can get any agency to provide supportive services for this. We just so happen to have Bethesda stepping up and saying, yes, we can do it. But we're not tying it to any agreement with them. We do need to add to our permanent supportive housing stock, and we felt like this was a good opportunity to do so. We had been working with another agency at this property that no longer wants to do that, so we think that this would be a good idea for the city to buy it, but it'll be up to the council on what we do with the property once we buy it.
Right. My understanding of the need for supportive housing is massive. I mean, that's one of the biggest holes that we have in our housing picture. So
Absolutely.
No problem with that. But I just want to. My concern is I don't want the city managing this property. I don't want us to be in the business of managing supportive housing. So do we tie it to this being managed by somebody else within some period of time? I mean, I don't want us to hold it. And I'm not personally aware of any other agencies out there. I know people are not beating down our door looking to be in this business.
Well, the goal was to give the council an opportunity to vote on both sides, vote on the purchase of the property, and then come back and vote on how they wanted us to use the property. And so that's why we didn't tie it together, but you will get an opportunity to say what you would prefer to do with it.
When we do that, when we talk about doing a deal with Bethesda, I'd like to have some overview of what our other options are, if any.
Okay, will do.
Councilmember Mundy.
I agree with Councilmember McIntosh. We don't want to be in the business of managing this, and I know you all will do a good job at going out and casting a wide net to find out who we could bring in to do that. One of the things, if I remember correctly, I liked about this is this would provide some housing for families. Is that correct?
That is correct.
We have a very severe shortage of that in Winston-Salem.
That is correct. We don't have a lot of housing for families, so this will give us 10 units that we can provide for families that are either experiencing homelessness now or preventing them from experiencing homelessness.
And the other thing I'd like to say, and I think I'm correct, correct me if I'm wrong, if we did not purchase this, it would go on the open market.
Absolutely.
And the likelihood of losing those buildings as affordable housing pretty high, that no one else would come in and make that affordable housing. Is that
is correct.
So my only request is, as we move forward, let's be transparent with all of our community to let them know what we plan on doing, and if they want to provide input to what we're doing, allow them the opportunity to do that.
Will do. Will do.
I think some of us remember, Ms. McClain, when this was the battered women's shelter, when it it was apartments when I was growing up, but then the battered women's shelter came in and they were running it for domestic violence and other things for women and their children. Since that time, Novant Health, because of Dr. Lawrence Hopkins, built the Women's Center for Health right there, which is now going to be expanding to not just women, but actually families, that's men and children. We have the Hope facility down the street. We got Kimberly Park swimming pool. We got Martin Luther King Rec. We got Habitat down the street. We got Kimberly Park School. And we got the whole neighborhood, Larry Little Park, that used to be Kimberly Park housing, is now a conglomerate from Hope 6 of different mixed-use housing, and Habitat is going to be building on some of the plats that's still left in that community as well, much like Happy Hill, Councilmember Scipio. I feel very strongly about this project because the neighborhood has turned around so much in the past 15 years that I think it would be an ideal environment for families with children. One of the things that Councilmember Mundy alluded to is we need to update, Ms. Tony, the community as to what we're going to do with this and our process. Meaning, I toured the building recently. I see it all the time when I'm driving that way. What are we going to do to rehab and upfit it so that it's beautiful to look at in the community? We talked about some things that we need to do to make it look inviting, not just for the customers or the citizens that'll be living there and the families, but also for the community to be able to see that, again, housing that's whether it's supported services or wraparound or affordable don't have to look the way people think it needs to look. We just need to make it look better, as you've seen in some of the projects we have on board right now all over the city, housing that's being built. We want it to look good. So again, I thank you. May I have Councilmember Mundy?
You may have said this, but it bears repeating. These are currently not occupied, so we will not be displacing anyone in this process.
We will not be displacing anyone.
Thank you.
We need a vote on the ordinance, please. Could I get a motion?
I move for approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Councilmember Scipio and Councilmember Mundy. All those in favor, let it be known by voting aye. All those opposed, vote like sign. Thank you. The motion passes. Next item, please, City Clerk.
Item G6, resolution authorizing funding for rehabilitation of Salem Garden Apartments, East Ward.
Ms. McLean, Ms. Skillman. Okay, we got Ms. Skillman. Let's go.
Got me. Orbach Affordable Housing Solutions is an experienced developer with 20 years of experience in affordable housing development. Orbach was awarded 2023 low-income housing tax credits for the preservation of Salem Garden Apartment Complex located in the East Ward. On October 16, 2023, the mayor and city council approved the proposed issuance by the Housing Authority of Winston-Salem of its multifamily housing revenue bonds in an amount not to exceed $20 million to finance in part the costs of the project. Built in 1980, Salem Gardens is a 150-unit property that consists of 41 bedroom, 64 two-bedroom, 32 three-bedrooms, and 14 four-bedroom units, and serves families with incomes below 60% of area median income. The property has a 20-year HAP contract from HUD for project-based rental assistance, which allows all residents to keep their housing and utility costs at 30% of their household income. The total cost for rehab of the project is $38.5 million. The developer is seeking $3 million in the form of low-interest-bearing loan from the city. The proposed sources of funds are $2 million of home funds and $1 million of general obligation bonds for the East Ward. The project will be subject to a 30-year compliance period pursuant to the Housing Justice Act.
Thank you. Any questions, comments, Councilmember Scipio? I thought you had a comment.
do.
Okay, go right
I
ahead.
always have a comment.
Go ahead.
I am so in favor of this because I've met with the buyers, and I really want us to hear from them because it's the developer who has a heart for the residents, not for the profit of the company, but the heart for the people. And they're looking to transform Salem Gardens, which has had a long history of wonderful challenges for our community in many ways. But I am so impressed with the spirit of these developers that I hope we will make sure this happens, this gap financing.
Could we have your name and address, please?
Sure. David Baruch, Orbach Affordable Housing Solutions, 980 Sylvan Avenue, Englewood Cliffs, New Jersey.
Yes.
Yes, I represent the developer, and as Ms. Gilman and Councilmember Scipio said, we're excited to take on this project. We understand it provides a large challenge to the community, but this is right up our wheelhouse where we are a nationwide company with over 6,000 units, all affordable housing, where we come in, we rehabilitate, and we provide quality housing for underserved residents who don't necessarily have the opportunity that,
what it's designated for.
The last bill is actually new, but we believe it's non-controversial. It will enable City Council, should it choose to do so, to give to the Planning Board the final decision-making authority with respect to certain rezoning matters, in particular those matters which are non-controversial, unanimous, whatever council decides to do, instead of having those pretty much come to City Council for a quick, perhaps some would say, rubber stamp. So this would give the council, if it were adopted, the ability to give certain authority to the planning board as it relates to certain rezoning matters. And then you have a resolution in your package as well. It starts the conversation with the delegation members and the members of the General Assembly about the need for additional funding. I have been told informally that the short session, if there are funding requests, they need to be small. So that's why I said this is the beginning of a conversation. The conversation will be around affordable housing and the need for additional funding for affordable housing. You will see that the resolution mentions $10 million. There's also a request for $2 million for the fire ladder truck for Fire Station 19. That's from a prior request as well. I was told that it was inadvertently left out of the budget last go-around, so we should go ahead and pursue that request again. So that's why it's in your package. And then the last item in the resolution requesting funding relates to the Stormwater Development Program. There are projects that are currently on the books and others to come that will require additional funding. So there's a request for $500,000 for funding for stormwater projects. So that is your package in a nutshell. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Councilmember Clark, Councilmember McIntosh.
Number 3, the one about deferring responsibility to the planning board.
Mm-hmm.
I'm concerned it's vague enough that Raleigh may be concerned about that, and I am too a little bit.
This language actually came from legislation that was adopted some time ago in Greensboro. So we thought perhaps using that language as a model would cause less concern for the folks in Raleigh. But once it passes, it's pretty much up to council to decide how much authority it wants to give the planning board. But certainly to the extent you feel like we need to tighten it up some more, we can certainly look at it. But that's where the language came from.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember McIntosh.
The additional funding that we're asking for stormwater, is that for our projects, for city projects?
It is for city projects. I'll just leave it at that. That's the main purpose.
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you.
Councilmember Monday.
I just want to clarify that I heard things right. The 70-30 program, you said there's still a moratorium on that, so we cannot do that. So we're asking the moratorium be lifted so we can return to helping citizens with that program. Is that right?
What we're asking for is for clear authority to have the program to begin with. And then once the authority has been obtained from the General Assembly, then it will be up to City Council to decide how best to use that authority and whether or not it wants to immediately start that program or transition into some kind of phased-in restart of the program.
So we placed the moratorium on the program because we were not sure that we were walking within the legal bounds of a General Assembly. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? I need a motion.
Nope,
No.
it's for information.
This information.
We'll be back the first part of April.
Well, my paperwork says resolution.
Okay.
That's why I said that, city attorney.
I understand, but the CARF is information.
I got it, but my thing is information correct is important. That is for information. Next item, please.
Item G8, update on neighborhood services homeless initiatives.
Ms. McClain. No. Who we got? Sharika. Why they got?
Good afternoon, Mayor Pro Tem Adams and other members of the City Council. I'm here to give you an update on the Neighborhood Services Homeless Initiatives.
You guys having trouble too?
Sorry.
Look.
Really slow.
It's slow.
It has been all day.
Might need to come back out. I had to go out.
It's not on mine yet. There we go.
Hey. Third time.
We're having a little technical issues with the presentation downloading or opening.
There we go. Thank you.
There we go. It felt like it. And after you present, I'm going to allow a couple of comments from some visitors we have in the audience today. Give them a couple of minutes or so to talk to us about their thoughts. I'm telling you.
Systems guy just came in and looked at us.
Communication.
Communications.
There we go.
Oh, there we go.
Thank you. So on January 31st, 2024, we conducted our 2024 annual point-in-time count. The point-in-time count is meant to serve as a small snapshot of homelessness in a community and to provide a sense of the overall scope of homelessness in America. The point-in-time count is done in all communities across America, and it provides an unduplicated count of people in a community experiencing homelessness that happens on a single night. On the local level, the point-in-time count helps communities see an estimation of the number of those experiencing homelessness and helps provide a sense of awareness for the needs that we have locally. With these numbers, we are able to understand the additional supportive services and programs that are needed to appropriately address local needs, measure progress in decreasing homelessness, and identify strengths and gaps in our current homeless assistance system. We are also able to see different trends of those who are experiencing homelessness and get information firsthand on what led to homelessness experiences. With these conversations, we can determine the needs of those that we serve that will then help local agencies determine funding and program needs. Here we go. Here you have an encampment map. So on this map is 270 encampments that are located around the city of Winston-Salem. These number of encampments does not identify the actual number of people residing in these encampments or the number of encampments in a single location. These number changes daily as those who are experiencing homelessness locate new locations due to encampments being dismantled, becoming unsafe, or even the need to move closer to services or individuals they have been built community with. Our sheltered population versus our unsheltered population. Currently here in Forsyth County, our unsheltered population is almost as big as the population of people staying in our emergency shelters. 276 individuals in the month of January have been connected to Street Outreach alone. Street Outreach provides services of engagement, referrals, and basic needs such as hygiene, food, and clothing. The point-in-time count numbers displayed for 2024 are preliminary. We are still in the process of inputting surveys and adding the additional comments from guests. We are expecting that the numbers will be higher than those in 2023. This is a graph of the number of people served. The HUD calendar year runs from October to September, so the numbers displayed shows people served from October 22 to September 2023, with 1,598 individuals being served with homeless services. This can include emergency shelter, supportive services such as case management, diversion services, or referrals to partner agencies. Currently, individuals are experiencing homelessness at a rate of 103 days, and we have a rate of 20% of people who enter the system exiting to permanent housing. The City of Winston-Salem has a collaborative team approach, along with Housing and Community Services, Code Enforcement, the BEAR team, and Winston-Salem Police Department. We meet daily to come up with strategies, additional referrals, and ways to partner to assist those who are experiencing homelessness. Our encampment cleanup process, there's a lot of information that's been requested about what happens when many of you contact us about encampments or when we get calls about encampments. First, the encampment is reported either through CityLink, Neighborhood Services, which includes Code Department, Housing and Community Services, or Winston-Salem Police Department. Code Enforcement visits the encampment and usually cites the encampment for trash violations. The Street Outreach teams, in partnership with BEAR, arrive to the encampment within usually 72 hours or the same day to offer supportive services and emergency housing options. Usually these encampments are already on a list of encampments that the Street Outreach team and BEAR team are aware of. Owners of the property are then notified via letter by Code Enforcement of any violations such as trash that they may have. With city and state-owned property, there's no trespassing signs posted, and depending on the cleanup, contractors are required to remove hazardous materials. So there is a requirement that we contract out for hazardous material in large encampment areas. The Street Outreach teams, in partnership with BEAR, continues to return to the encampment until the day of cleanup, continuing to offer services. And then the Street Outreach staff, Code Enforcement, and Winston-Salem Police Department arrive the day of the encampment to initiate cleanup. Along with BEAR and Street Outreach teams, they're still offering services. The partner agencies usually give us bed information the day of so that if anyone is interested in going into emergency shelter, we have beds available. Additional services and referrals are provided to anyone who is interested. Our current funding sources used for homeless initiatives, we have Continuum of Care funds, which are a HUD, a federal resource, our community development block grant funds, which are a federal resource, and then our city and state emergency solutions grants. These are also federal funds. The Continuum of Care funds, we have about $2.8 million. These can be used for the things listed under eligible activities. These funds cannot be used for emergency shelter services. So they are kind of like our rental assistance funds. So they are primarily used for housing services. So housing choice vouchers or Section 8 vouchers, permanent supportive housing, so paying for the rent at those locations, as well as temporary rental assistance. This is a further breakdown of what those calculation of those COC rental assistance programs look like. Our rapid rehousing program, which is a short-term program, It's case management and supportive services. Supportive services can also include mental health, deposit fees for utilities and things of that nature. We have rental assistance costs, and then we have the admin costs. Under permanent supportive housing, which is those long-term programs, we have $375,000 right now in acquisition, which the city holds the money for acquisition of permanent supportive housing. We have $49,540 for admin, and this admin is split across all agencies within the COC, including the city. We have $387,000, which we work in partnership with the Housing Authority to provide housing choice vouchers or Section 8 vouchers. And then we have project-based programs, which are programs where the voucher is tied to the units. So we have $139,000 in project-based, and then $237,000 of that is for case management and supportive services. And then HUD has a requirement that we have a DV-only program. So this program is $379,000 in rental assistance costs, $291,000 in supportive costs, and then the admin, once again, which is split across all agencies, of $49,704.
It's DV.
Domestic violence. Our city ESG, so we receive $181,649 in city ESG. Only 60% of these funds can be used for shelter services and street outreach. So you will see that a large portion of these funds are dedicated to our emergency shelter services. So emergency shelter, we have $108,989. We have data entry that is shared across all agencies. We are required to report all of our information into a homeless management information system per HUD requirements. So that allows some data entry across agencies, and then rapid rehousing, which is that another pot of rental assistance costs.
Did we skip a slide? The one with emergency, that's it, 181, yeah.
Thank you. Our state emergency solutions grant, this is $211,889. Once again, only 60% of these funds can be used for shelter services and street outreach. You see that it's broken up with 42% of this going to emergency shelter. Data entry, once again, across all the agencies that participate in the COC, providing some data entry services, and then street outreach. So this is where we include our street outreach costs for our partner agencies, and then, once again, the rapid rehousing. And with this, the rapid rehousing, once again, it's rental assistance, utility deposits, and other things of that nature.
Could you give a short definition for the audience of what is rapid rehousing and the street outreach or the emergency shelter, as well as the HMIS, the system that's used? Could you do that?
Yes, so our homeless management information system, HMIS, is where we collect all of the data for individuals and services that are currently being offered in the community. This allows us to run reports and see trends of the numbers going up, going down, and also the services that we've offered. Rapid rehousing is a short-term, 24-month case program for rental assistance. It takes a progressive engagement approach. So wraparound services with progressive engagement, you give the client, you assist the client with rental assistance based on need. You don't do a direct assistance of 6 months, because if they find a job within 3, then you tailor the assistance towards the need. With the rapid rehousing program, we also encourage wraparound services. We believe in HUD follows a housing first model. So you house the person and then intensively provide wraparound services to keep the person housed. So we have trained the partner agencies continuously work on making sure that we are doing that in a housing first way. Emergency shelter is our local emergency shelters that provide interim housing, is some terms what people use, or emergency housing, in the process of people finding permanent housing solutions. And our street outreach teams, they provide engagement and case management to individuals that are living literally on the streets. Once they go into shelter, those services stop because they're connected to shelter services. However, they continuously go out and provide services to individuals who are residing on the streets. And then it's the CDBG. Yes. Our community development block grant, this is used for public facilities and public services in the amount of $160,000. It's currently used for our coordinated entry system team at 57,100. HUD requires that every COC has a coordinated entry team. That team is basically like the triage of your homeless service system. So they do the assessments, the referrals, and the connection to long-term services as far as the rapid rehousing or the rental assistance programs and the permanent supportive housing programs. We also have a small grant to a local transitional housing facility and then for veterans, and then 56% of that goes to an emergency shelter for case management services. Our current initiatives, so over the past year, we have worked with some of our partner agencies who are here as well to improve our coordinated entry system and accessibility. Currently, United Way is our CES lead. A study was done to see how well our system was working, and the study provided feedback from partner agencies as well as those who are currently and previously experiencing homelessness that there was an issue with accessibility to our system. No one knew where to go or who to call when they are in a housing crisis. They also asked for additional access to case management services. So since then, we have started to develop identify needs that need to be provided as far as our CES system. As of July 1st, we will need a new CES lead. Increased affordable housing. Oh, it's fine. Increased affordable housing for our rapid rehousing and PSH funds. So over the last year, we have took a huge emphasis on trying to increase our project-based vouchers instead of our housing choice vouchers. The Section 8 voucher or housing choice voucher is tied to the resident, while the project-based voucher is tied to the unit. If we have more project-based vouchers, then we have a larger unit mix, and as people transition out, we still have access to those units to place additional people in. To improve landlord retention, during COVID, we had landlord incentives. It did end at the end of 2023 with the end of their COVID funds. With these landlord incentives, we were able to do signing bonuses equal up to 2 months of rent, security deposits equal up to 3 months of rent, and we were able to pay the costs of damages and repairs incurred by the program participant that were maybe not covered by the security deposit, or that were incurred while the program participant was still residing in the unit. We will also be able to pay the cost of cleaning or maintenance of the program participants' units or appliances. We also did increase permanent housing opportunities with scatter sites, so we've been in contact with a lot of local landlords on the ability to take units that are deteriorated, rehab those units, and use those for PSH or rapid rehousing sites. With the Scatter Sites program, we'll be able to acquire and renovate the rental properties throughout the city with organizations, private or nonprofit, acting as property management. This could cover several neighborhoods, taking small multifamily units and single unit properties and putting them back online. The cost of acquiring and rehabbing property is significantly less than acquiring land and constructing a new multifamily project. So to increase our development and develop interim housing or emergency shelter, over the last year, we have trained all of our shelters in being low barrier emergency shelters and day centers. When they are considered low barrier, they do not have any prerequisitions to entry. This also entailed us training staff that do the frontline work on what it means to be at a low barrier and run a low barrier facility. In doing that, we also had to make sure that the environments of these shelters were trauma-informed environments. So this is in our emergency shelters and local day shelters. In doing this, we had transitions of shelters where we updated the furniture, mattresses, had the walls painted, and various other things to offer a trauma-informed environment. We also utilized motel vouchers to assist in the missing middle of emergency housing. To increase our available supportive services, we connected with Novant Mobile Cruiser, who was able to visit a lot of our partner agencies to provide physical health resources on site. We also connected with the local provider, Wealthiology, to provide mental health and substance abuse services to those living unsheltered. They would go out with our street outreach services and be able to provide on-site services before the creation of the BEAR team. We increased our COC staff and agency capacity with continued and increased training with the focus on trauma-informed care as well as self-care to prevent burnout. The idea of a homeless services job fair has been done and is currently being planned for COC agencies to be able to fill the huge missing staff piece that they have. And we also looking to increase the frontline staff for intake and resources to eliminate bottlenecks and decrease the time it takes for individuals to go through the system. We also added a city street outreach position. This position is specifically to respond to encampments and provide services to those who are living unsheltered. And then a COC governance system restructure. So we have asked for increased advocacy and a huge emphasis on advocacy from our COC partners, which they have stepped up and provided a lot of action behind all of these ideas that we have. We also have increased our partnership and participation from agencies. We're working in relations with our partner agencies to get additional advocates, the county, as well as healthcare providers at the table to be able to better provide supportive services to those that we serve. Our current needs, increase local agency staff capacity. So there is still a huge need for staff. Currently, there was the COC conducted a wage study to determine the average pay and the need for additional pay and support for staff who provide services in the homeless service community. The COC wage study showed that 60% of the frontline staff earn below the living wage. People that do this work every day experience burnout and low pay, many with no health insurance for a job that requires a lot of demand. So the need to find additional funds, especially around emergency shelters, to be able to provide better pay for the frontline staff. Affordable housing for rapid rehousing and PSH funds. We provide shelter, which is short-term, but what's next? Increased housing opportunities to utilize housing choice vouchers and rapid rehousing funds is needed to house individuals more quickly to be able to have access to additional beds in the shelter system. It costs more to house a household in emergency shelter than to place them into a unit. Additional affordable housing opportunities also allow for additional funds for our rapid rehousing program to be utilized. There are some restrictions around the amounts that we can pay for housing utilizing HUD funds. Therefore, additional affordable housing will allow us to house more individuals. The homeless prevention funding. If we decrease the need of individuals needing homeless services through homeless prevention, we can increase the number of people that are going into housing by providing additional services. Prevention and stabilization of at-risk households avoids families and individuals from ever experiencing homelessness and ever coming into the system. HUD studies show it is more expensive for someone to reside in shelters and utilize homeless services than it is to keep them housed. There is a need of unrestricted dollars to prevent households from becoming homeless. This allows households to stay housed and receive housing stability services without losing their home. Increase the number and development of interim or emergency housing. So increase the amount of shelter that we have for families and single women. We have limited shelter opportunities for single women and families. Currently, for Salvation Army, they can serve about 20 families, depending on the family size and makeup. And then Bethesda Center only has 30 beds for single women. The creation of non-congregate shelter options, especially for families with teenagers or couples who have children, as well as those with high barriers such as high mental health or substance abuse usage, where a congregate facility is not conducive. Other unique options like safe parking, we've seen that introduced locally in places like Greensboro, where they're utilizing a parking lot for individuals who are residing in their cars and then prioritizing them for housing services. Improve our supportive services. So we want to work and strengthen our relationship with Forsyth County to provide in-kind or financial assistance for our DSS and behavioral health. Increase our in-kind opportunities for mental health, substance abuse providers, as well as physical health. Increase and strengthen our wraparound services for available clients. Our Housing First program will not work unless those wraparound services are in place. In order to put someone in housing as the first option, those housing services have to be strong and in place to keep them housed. And then improve our CES accessibility. Our CES system is like our triage services when you go into the emergency room. It needs to be accessible and be able to provide the right type of referrals and housing outcomes in order to move individuals through the system quickly. We are currently in the process of identifying a new CES lead as the RFP is currently out. This lead would need to be able to manage, operate, or contract a call center, complete intakes, assessments, and referrals for households who are seeking services in a timely manner. Currently, most of this is done through the phone. We are looking to move more into an in-person phase as this allows staff and services to be more accessible. Possible solutions, rehabbing existing city-owned properties. Here we have a city-owned property that was just rehabbed for owner, it'll be sold for ownership. So the rehab cost was around $75,000. So we are looking to use existing city-owned homes that is on the demolition list that can be rehabbed and then use those for affordable housing. They can be sold to interested nonprofits interested in the development and creation of affordable housing. And rehab owner-occupied properties, so scattered site. HUD has placed a huge emphasis on scattered site, utilizing scattered site. So rehabbing apartment units, especially small apartment units that are usually boarded up and not being utilized, and using funds to rehab those and allow those units to be used for permanent supportive housing or affordable housing. When this happens, the tenants will have assigned case managers through our existing local agency, and prioritization will be given for households experiencing homelessness or who have recently experienced homelessness, as well as low-income households. The owner will maintain ownership, or the ownership can be transferred to one of our local agencies, and they will adhere to the city's Housing Justice Act. Go back one. Oh, okay. There it is. Purchase and rehab. So this is a 7,620 square foot building that is currently for sale. It was rezoned by City Council for multifamily housing, and the existing floor designs are available for multifamily housing. The acquisition for this is $483,000, and it's supposed to be turned into some apartment homes.
Where is this?
This is
Wachovia Street.
Yes, Wachovia. Convert commercial spaces. So there's a huge emphasis on taking commercial spaces and converting them into housing, utilizing commercial spaces to increase residential opportunities. This can include hotels, motels, warehouses, schools, light industrial locations, retail, and other large spaces that could create a mixed-use housing. This is 75,300 square feet. The acquisition cost for this is $1.7 million. Cottage homes, this is Eden Village in Wilmington, North Carolina. They took an old RV park and rezoned these small houses that are under 400 square feet for RVs. They can quickly be built, and this was done in a 2-year project. On site, they have a medical clinic, a community center, as well as case management services that they are provided. And then, is it a PDF? Okay, it's, go back one. Yes, it's a video, but I guess it's a PDF. Can you play it? These are a micro shelter. On March 4th, the micro shelter providers are willing to come to the city of Winston-Salem so that you can see these in person. These are usually $9,000 per room, per unit. And they're able to do 2 rooms and build these in about 30, 45 minutes.
Bring it.
So they'll be here March 4th at a location so you guys can see it. And then a coordinated intake center. We have been looking for a building to provide a one-stop shop. Effective July 1st, we will have a new coordinated intake center lead. The RFP is currently out for operational staff, and we plan to have a one-stop center location. We are currently looking at this building, which is $2 million for acquisition, which is already decked out with the cubicles and everything that we'll need. It's an opportunity to own or lease it fully furnished. And that's what we have.
Can I let the? Okay. Okay, Councilmember Clark.
I've got three quick,
Then Scipio.
some of this you may have to get back with the information.
Yeah.
In your chart that show the number of people in shelters and the ones not in shelters, then you had, for the last year, you had the street outreach. Are those additional people, or are those people already counted in the other two bars?
So the street outreach number is those that are residing on the street.
So that they're not counted?
Yes.
Why would they not be counted in the non-shelter number?
So the orange number is the pick count number. So that's the number that we counted on that one given night.
Yeah.
Yeah. My question is, that, you're homeless, we get you in a permanent shelter, wraparound services, hopefully you get a job and move on. I think that's kind of the goal. But my question is, how many of those folks are we able to do that with? I have volunteered at, and I see the Samaritan Ministries executive director in the back. I've probably volunteered there for 30 years. I've also volunteered at Oxford Lutheran, which used to be an overflow shelter, and at the Center of Hope, which is the family shelter. And I have always questioned what percent of homeless people are truly employable. And by that I mean you got to get up, get dressed, go to work, come home, whatever. I think that we all try to teach our children that part of keeping a job is just showing up every day and working hard and whatever. But my experience in 30-plus years is I really question what percent of those people are truly employable, and I'd be curious as to what y'all have learned. Because so many of them that I have dealt with, and again, this is just on a quick picture, that I don't know if they could do that. Get up every day, go to work, come back. Even with wraparound services, I just think, particularly the folks that have been substance abuse, and those that have been homeless for, at least just looking at it, look like me for many, many years. I'd just be curious, and you can provide that later because we're already late, what percent of, what is our true success rate there? So with that, I'll push. Thank you.
Okay. And we do have a large chronically homeless population, but we do also provide services to those who we've had various occupations. We have current city employees that we're working with now. I can count at least 4. So we do have a large range of people that we provide services to.
I remember when I was talking to a city employee.
Councilmember Scipio.
I'm finished.
If you look at slide number 3 that says the encampment areas, what's not clear to me on that is that a cumulative number? Is that a point in time? Do they all still exist?
That was as of the first week of January.
So at
January 2024, that first week.
We had 270 encampments around the city.
Yes.
Okay, that was, so if you could put the date on it, because when people go back look at these, it's good to say. No, now the cost that you're showing for services in the different categories, I added it all up. And let me just, the continuum of care is not the full cost of what we're paying. You do have to add the other services to that, right? Like North Carolina Emergency Solutions Grant. If I add all that, do I add all of those up to come up with the cost of what it's costing us to provide for homelessness?
That is the current federal grant funds that we receive. They are broken up because they provide services for different things. So what you can do with the COC funds, you can't technically always do that with ESG and vice versa.
So I can't add all of those different slides together and say that?
Yes, you can add them together. It's just they're broken up because of the different eligible activities for each one.
So when I added all those different numbers together, it looked like we are putting out $3,348,000, 310. My question is, how do we stack up versus other communities in terms of what we're investing in homeless, care for the homeless? Do we have that sense? And what are other communities doing that have been effective in reducing homelessness? That would be something I would be interested in knowing, so that, you know, we have programs. Are they effective? Or are we investing enough money at this time versus the homeless? And of this 270 encampments, all of them don't exist today, because I don't believe they all exist, because I think when we see them, they get taken down. I know the one on 3rd Street, I just saw today that the state has cleared it out, and they're placing a fence up to prevent people from going down further on that area. So I wondered how many of them are being demolished.
And you don't have to answer that now. You can bring that back.
Okay. That's just a follow-up question.
Okay. Councilmember Mundy, and then I'm going to let our Councilmember Burke, and I'm going to let our guest speak.
This also, I could see later, but I didn't hear a number for the point in time count. And when we know that number, our funding will take care of what percentage of that? Because I don't think we have enough funding to take care of everybody in that point in time count. Then the other thing, you mentioned some of the creative ideas, and Mayor Pro Tem said, bring it. I agree. Some of the ideas like allowing people to sleep in their cars in the parking lot that other communities have been able to do and done so successfully. I've raised a lot of these in the past. I was always told that there were ordinances against it. I would like to point out that we're the people who make those ordinances.
Ordinances can be changed.
That's all.
All right.
Thank you.
Councilmember Burke.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Floyd, for this presentation. It was very informative. I do want us to go back and think about these opportunities that we're creating for permanent supportive housing. When we think about these locations, these are opportunities to help people who are down on their luck get to a better place in life. We need to be very selective about the communities where we place them. We need to make sure that they have access to grocery stores, health care, successful schools that are not failing, and we need to make sure that we're not putting them in communities that are infested with crime and drugs. So let's be very mindful of that as we think about opportunities and locations for permanent supportive housing.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ms. Floyd. We appreciate it. Look forward to more information. ACM Tony, I'm going to say my little plug, Housing Summit. Not Committee of the Whole. We know that's a different deal. It gives us some ideas, City Manager Pate. But even this week in my visiting some of the realtor people and some others, they want to get in with us. They think it would be a great idea. Went to some forums. People think it's the public. They think it's a great idea because, again, until we all get on the same page, kind of sort of like what we were at Friday at Forsyth Tech with all the legislators and stakeholders, when we hear the same message, we kind of understand where we are and we can move forward. So I know you'll be talking about that later. I'm going to bring up Dr. Miles and another guest. If you guys will come up, ladies, please. We're going to be cordial. We're going to be nice with each other. This is a public comment for you to be able to enlighten us, which I'm sure you do know we all got your emails, right? So don't hammer us across the head with that. We got it. So I'm giving you an opportunity to enlighten us as to your thoughts.
Good afternoon, Mayor Pro Tem Adams, City Council members, committee members, city managers, assistant city managers. Thank you for this opportunity for allowing me to speak. I'm Arnita Miles, 494 Smithdale Street, Winston-Salem, North Carolina, 27107. I live in the East Ward. Thank you, Councilmember Scipio. First, I would like to publicly thank Assistant City Manager Tony and Ms. Floyd for working with our community outreach in addressing homelessness. The system is broken. It is broken. Between myself and this is Ms. Lisa Uber, we have counted 33 tent encampments in the city that we work with weekly. There are 8 in the Peters Creek Parkway area, 12 in the University area, 4 in the Jonestown Stratford Road area, 6 in the downtown to the airport area, several individuals that are homeless in the downtown area, 1 major encampment under the bridge under I-52 at Martin Luther King. Relationships are very important. And that's what Lisa and I do. We build relationships with our unsheltered and homeless individuals. First, I would like to let you know that the COC is broken. They have been restructuring since 2019. Assistant City Manager Tony and Ms. Floyd can confirm that for you. The COC is broken. They have a problem with its leadership, and they have a problem with the allocations of their funding. I will not stand before you and say I'm going to complain if I cannot be a part of the solution. I have recently volunteered to become a part of the COC. I have volunteered to become a part of the city's outreach program. So that means I'm looking for solutions. If this is a calling, I must be active in what I'm trying to do. And I'm going to offer my expertise in this area because it's a calling and a ministry for me. The recent PIT count from 2023 showed 396 homeless individuals. You've already heard from Ms. Floyd that those numbers are inaccurate. Why? Because city staff, volunteers, did not count the tent encampments. They have not been counting the tent encampments for the last 5 years. Now you have to look at the time that the pit count occurs, 9 p.m. to 4 a.m., 9 p.m. to 4 a.m. If I come to your home at 2:30 in the morning as a volunteer for the pit count, are you going to let me in? If I come to your home after midnight, trying to count how many people are in your home, are you going to let me in? This year, my teams, we had 15 individuals that requested to start counting at 7:30. We were denied and said start at 9. Was Miss Dr. Richenberg. She rode with me this year, and we took her out to tent encampments to see how individuals are actually living in these tent encampments. I submit to you, if you look at those slides, did you see City of Winston-Salem? You saw HUD grants. What is the city's commitment to funding homelessness? We saw slides, 5 slides. HUD grant, HUD grant, HUD grant, HUD grant. But we didn't see a slide that said, what is the City of Winston-Salem's commitment to homelessness? I also finally submit to you that I will not complain. Y'all know me. I've been doing this for 5 years. I want to be a part of this solution. We have a homeless crisis in Winston-Salem. And that is all I'm going to say.
Thank you, Dr.
Oh, wait. This is a simple map. We have 5 shelters. City with dwelling, they have 40 beds. Samaritan Ministries, 50 beds. Winston-Salem Rescue Mission, 50 beds. Center of Hope, Salvation Army, the Women's Shelter with Children, 50 beds. Bethesda Center, 50 beds. So that's 240 beds, correct? Let's take out those 50 beds for the women and children at Center of Hope. That leaves you 200 plus or minus beds nightly. In January of 2024, Leadership Winston-Salem said there are between 500 to 700 people nightly on the streets of Winston-Salem. If you only have 200 beds per night, where are the other people supposed to sleep and go if they need emergency shelter? 200 beds. 500 to 700 homeless people nightly. Ladies and gentlemen, that math is not mathing. 200 beds, 500 to 600 to 700 homeless people every night. There's no room at any of the ends. Thank you,
Dr. Mike.
Any questions? Thank you.
Hi there, good afternoon. My name is Lisa Huber, 8040 Dillon Acres Drive, Blues Creek, North Carolina.
Good evening.
I would like to continue on with what she says. I do a ton of outreach. I am out on these streets nightly, just about. We go out after the shelters close, okay? So when all the shelters close and everybody can get inside, that's when my team and I go out, okay? We're not funded by anybody. We're funded by the community. We're funded by personal money. We're funded by donations, okay? We go out, we find the people that aren't lucky enough to get in those shelters. We find the people that are making beds on the pavement. We find the people that are laying on the cold pavement. And we stop and give them blankets because you know what? Half the time they don't have a blanket. They don't have anything to keep them warm. After they lay there for an hour, guess who's coming around the corner? The police. You gotta move. Pack your stuff up and move. Oh, you can't take all your stuff? We're throwing it away. Now, these people that we just gave survival items to, now mind you, a couple weeks ago it was 13 degrees outside. There was a 67-year-old man with COPD freezing to death on the streets. There was another gentleman that was at the bus station, 5 o'clock in the morning. Guess who was there? Me and my outreach team. We were there. We had to put a man in the back of my van because he was about to be hypothermic. He had on a jacket. He had no hats, he had no gloves, he had nothing. We wrapped him up, we tried to get him to talk, and he was like, and no, it's not on drugs. He was not on drugs. He was freezing. He had nowhere to go. He was turned away from every place he went to. We put him in my van with the heat on for an hour till the bus station opened, okay? He got out of my van, he stood up, he was like, oh my God, thank you guys so much. Like I was freezing, completely coherent. He could speak, he could talk. Prior to that, that man was freezing and he had nowhere to go. Now, this is a crisis I'm sure that you all are aware of. When we're out doing outreach every day, and I'm talking, I go out during the day to pass out clothing. I go out in the evenings to pass out food. I go out overnight to make sure that the people that didn't make it into a shelter have something to cover up with. I invite you all to come right along with me one night because it happens. When I'm out doing my outreach, I have yet.
I hate to cut you off, but we are under whatever to end the meetings at 6 o'clock.
Okay, just one last thing.
Okay.
When I'm out doing my outreach, I see nobody out doing any outreach. I have yet to run across another individual offering any services to these people. I would ask that that be addressed. The people that can't make it into the shelters, the people who are out here suffering, they deserve rights. So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. One of the things that, again, the Housing Summit, Day 1, Homelessness, Day 2, Housing Development, it gives us a chance, I believe, in the community to understand what all of us are doing, because we all doing different things. Again, it will help the community to understand, because, yeah, there are other homeless people out there. I know that. But again, there's the perception, just like people think everybody wants to rent a house and pay Spectrum and all of these bills. Again, people think that everybody that's living under the sky wants to be in a facility that there are rules and control. So again, if we all are in the same room hearing the experts, you guys and others, tell us what we need, and the actual customer, the customers that are the recipients of it, I think we all would be at a better place, and we can move things forward in this city when it comes to homelessness and housing. I look forward again to talking with you. I hope that both of y'all, don't get me wrong, I hope you sign up and go to work for some of these outreach jobs. Even if you don't, I'm serious. We can't do this alone. We can't, and we don't know what you know. Again, don't know what you know. So I look forward to hearing from you with ACM Tony and her staff and the city manager and others, HR, whatever. You two need to get plugged in, because again, the study that was done on the CLC, again, I knew that there were things that were broken. And I will be looking for an update of ACM Tony as to what the corrective action and things that we put in place, where we are in that process. Again, if we can be working with the folks here to help us better understand whether what we think is needed is needed. Again, I think all of it's just a communication and education and knowledge based situation where we are, because we're not talking to each other and we're not hearing the same messages from a place of understanding and caring. Again, I thank you. This meeting is adjourned.